Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we discuss the discontinued 40mm rose gold FP Journe Octa Automatique Reserve. This watch right here, part of a series made from 2007 to 2018, is 40mm in diameter in rose gold, 10.6mm thick, 47.7 from lug to lug tip. It has a 20mm spacing in between the lugs. The watch on my 16cm circumference wrist wears well. Journe cases tend to be fairly compact. 38 and 40mm variants are pretty versatile. And you can see on my wrist, it's got a little bit of clearance down the barrel, which I find to be the definitive angle if you're trying to evaluate without a mirror. You can see the lugs are inboard of the edge of my wrist over the top, which exaggerates the width of the watch across the wrist. You can see the lugs are still inboard. And then the cuff shot showing that this thin watch with a domed bezel will easily slide underneath the sleeve. The strap, which you can see is a Journe factory piece, is consistent with the latest thinking, where you have large rectangular scale alligator leather on the top and then small round scale on the bottom. And the idea is that, though more expensive, double gator lasts a lot longer than gator on top, cav on the bottom. It's a medium blue, it's a semi-gloss finish, and then we have an edge that is folded with a monotone stitch. You can see that there are curved spring bars used because Journe likes to drill his lugs close to the case to move the pivot centers inboard, allowing for better fit on a very small wrist that might be borderline. So a curved spring bar is used, and again, consistent with the latest thinking, we have a pull-tab spring bar so you can pop the strap off the case without resorting to any kind of a tool. We have a simple Journe branded rose gold pin buckle. And then we have a case that is distinctive of Journe. Really, this case design goes back to his first eponymous watches in 1999, the original Tourbillon Remontoire. We have this combination of more or less symmetrical case back and bezel, both domed with a flange, top and bottom defining the mid case, which is polished, blending into the lugs, which turn down almost 90 degrees from the horizontal of the case. We have perhaps the most recognizable crown in the world now. Short of Rolex, the double dimple with knurling and no branding. Everyone knows that's Journe. Push-down crown, 30-meter water-resistant case. And speaking of cases, you can see this one features, oops, let's get that out of the way. This one features the maker's mark of Eleanor and the French double eagle hallmark right there. It's been dulled a little bit by refinishing, but you can still easily see what it is. Of course, because these are Swiss-made watches, you wind up with both the hallmarks of Switzerland and France. And again, this series made from 2007 to 2018, the Eleanor cases went away mid-2008, and then Journe used up supply. So it's likely this being a French-signed case was from the earlier phase of production. The dial is made of silver. Yes, it is made of that kind of silver, sterling, but then it's galvanized to this silver white. We've got Journe's unique typeface, which is instantly recognizable. The numerals, even the letters, quite honestly, the characters are distinctive of his stuff. Clou de Paris at center, and then azurage, or concentric pattern, for the sub-seconds. We have a chemin de fer for the minutes track, a railroad track, the same in miniature for the seconds. Power reserve indicator. We've got a double disc big date, the grande date with flush discs, you'll notice. A feather in the cap of a watchmaker to get the discs flush to each other rather than staggered top to bottom. Now, the watch doesn't have hacking. That's something that is incredibly rare on Journe watches. The Elegant is the best place to get it, but you can see that we do have a quick set for the date. Now, we also have a power reserve indicator that lies a little bit. Journe actually rates this watch to run for 160 hours before it stops, but 120 hours is the chronometric power reserve. So that is the time during which it will keep best time. So Journe wants you to wind this watch at least 5 days apart. The hands also distinctive, tapered, blued, beautiful, graceful, extending all the way to the tracks. And I will also say this, Journe has a fascinating philosophy with these automatic movements. While the COSC test involves regular winding, Journe is correct that if you have an automatic watch on your wrist, the random state of wind from day to day and moment to moment means it's very difficult to achieve chronometer levels of performance with an automatic watch as it's actually worn. So what he did was he created an enormous meter-long mainspring that's very thin, And so the torque curve of that spring is designed to be, well, not curved at all, but very flat. So engineered to keep more or less consistent torque running to the escapement for those 120 hours. So despite the fact that this is a long power reserve watch with a single barrel and a single huge mainspring, it does not suffer the typical pitfalls of an automatic in terms of variability of torque to the escapement, nor, because of that flat torque curve, does it really care where it is in those first 120 hours of power reserve, which reduces the impact of its momentary state of wind, day-to-day, moment-to-moment on your wrist. So he likes to say this will keep chronometer grade time, and it is adjusted in a chronometer standard 5 positions. The movement's 30.4 millimeters in diameter. By this point in Journe history, we are now using solid gold to make the movements. So 18 karat rose gold bridges and plates, 22 karat clou de Paris, or I guess I should say grand orge or barleycorn cut on the rotor. And by this point, they are unidirectional winding, because you can see that this is the Octa caliber 13.3. The original one was brass. The next upgrade was the move to rose gold starting in mid-2004, and the final upgrade, the move to unidirectional winding, which is in practice more efficient than bidirectional. The original ones were bidirectional. 30.4 millimeters in diameter. It's a nicely sized movement to fit this case, and with a gold movement and a gold case and a sterling silver dial, it has a nice weight to it. For a watch that's not that large, it feels hefty. You can see the rotor is not quite the size of the case back, and a lot of people ask about that. And that's because the Octas were always designed to turn complications. Here, basically a big date and a power reserve, but more advanced systems such as the annual calendar, the perpetual calendar, and the chronograph would be mounted on the dial side. So something about a uniform, standardized mounting surface for a module on the dial side meant offsetting the winding train on the case back. So that's why the rotor is not quite as big as the case back. The balance is huge. Although it's not a high beat rate at 3 hertz, the size of the balance at over 10 millimeters and its large amount of inertia make up for the lack of beat rate. It's also free-sprung for durability and more precise adjustment. Journe, by this point, as you can see, is no longer stamping the case back with the year of manufacture. The case would often have a stamp indicating its year of manufacture on earlier Journe watches. Remember, the case year of manufacture is not necessarily the same thing as the watch, but they're often very close by, and it's a good rule of thumb. So you see right here, I've got a Ruthenium series Jolie Nuit, and then you can see that's 02A. So that case would have been made in 2002, and the case stamps went away. The year stamps went around 2007. So charting the changes here with Journe, and you can see the Holt head screws are now in place. It's a good-looking watch and a fun watch to own, and a historically important and very influential brand. People ask me, why do you recommend FP Journe watches if he's not the most innovative watchmaker, the most complex watchmaker, if he's not the finest finishing watchmaker? And I say, keep this in mind. Most of the other indie brands that are around today took their cues from one guy and his success building a brand under his own name. He's a technical innovator, he's been a vanguard in the business, and he is easily the most influential watchmaker alive today. And that's what you get with an FP Journe. And you don't have to be a fanboy to accept that. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.